ASMR sleep story. Tonight, I will tell you an old and haunting tale, a story that takes us far back in time, to a quiet town, a mysterious castle, and a creature that walks in the shadow of the night. This is the tale of Nosferatu, a vampire story told not with fear, but with calm, with quiet words, and with a rhythm that helps your mind slow down and fall gently into sleep. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let us begin. Once upon a time, in the peaceful town of Wisborg, there lived a young man named Hutter. He was cheerful and worked as a real estate agent. He had a kind and beautiful wife named Ellen, and they loved each other very much. They lived in a simple home with a small garden, and their days were full of light and laughter. One day, Hutter's boss, Mr. Knock, called him into his office. Knock was a strange man, with wild eyes and a crooked smile. He told Hutter that a nobleman from a faraway land wanted to buy a house in Wisborg. This man's name was Count Orlok, and he lived deep in the Carpathian Mountains. Mr. Knock told Hutter to travel to the Count's castle and bring him the papers for the new house. The house Orlok wanted was right across from Hutter's own home. Hutter was surprised, but also excited. A long journey, a strange castle. It all felt like an adventure. So, Hutter kissed his wife goodbye and left for the mountains. The journey was long. He passed through forests, rivers, and small villages where people whispered about a strange evil that lived in the hills. When Hutter spoke of Count Orlok, the villagers grew silent. Some crossed themselves. Others begged him not to go. But Hutter laughed it off. He thought it was only superstition. At last, he reached the dark, rocky lands where Orlok's castle stood. The driver of his carriage refused to go any further, so Hutter walked the rest of the way, under a sky full of gray clouds. The castle was old and cold. Tall towers reached into the sky like fingers of stone. The doors creaked open by themselves, and then he saw him, Count Orlok. He was tall, thin, and pale like the moon. His fingers were long and sharp, his ears pointed like a bat's, and his eyes were empty, yet hungry. Still, the Count welcomed him. Hutter stayed the night, but something felt wrong. When he woke up, he had small marks on his neck, like 2 little bites. He tried to ignore it, but soon he discovered something chilling. In a dusty book, Hutter read about a creature called Nosferatu, a vampire who brings plague and death. The book warned, Nosferatu drinks the blood of the living and brings shadows wherever he goes. Hutter realized Count Orlok was Nosferatu. The Count signed the papers for the house, but Hutter could see he was no longer safe. That night, he saw the Count sleeping in a coffin, rising with the moon. Hutter tried to escape. He climbed out a window, fell, and was found by kind villagers who took care of him. But it was too late. Nosferatu had already left, traveling to Wisborg. Back in the town, Ellen felt something strange. She would walk to the window and stare into the distance. She held Hutter's picture to her heart. She could feel that something dark was coming. Soon, strange things began to happen. The ship that carried Count Orlok arrived in Wisborg, but the crew was gone. Only the captain's dead body remained, tied to the wheel. Rats poured out of the ship. The people grew afraid. Illness spread through the town. One by one, people grew weak and died. The townspeople believed a plague had come, but Ellen knew it was something else. Hutter finally returned home, weak and pale. He tried to protect Ellen, but Nosferatu had moved into the house across the street, watching, waiting. Ellen read the book Hutter had brought from the castle. There she saw the secret. A woman, pure in heart, must willingly offer her blood to the vampire and keep him with her until the rooster sings at dawn. Only then could Nosferatu be destroyed. Ellen knew what she had to do. That night, she left the window open. Nosferatu came. He stepped into her room, slowly, his shadow reaching across the wall, crawling toward her bed. He stared at her with cold eyes. Ellen did not move. She lay still and brave. He bent down and began to drink her blood. Time passed slowly, but she did not cry out, and then the first light of dawn touched the sky. The rooster crowed. Nosferatu tried to flee, but the sun touched him, and he turned to smoke, then dust. He was gone, forever. Ellen lay weak in Hutter's arms. She smiled softly and closed her eyes. Her sacrifice had saved the town. The rats disappeared. The sickness stopped. Peace returned to Wisborg. And though Hutter cried, he knew Ellen's love had ended the darkness. In the years to come, people still told the story of Nosferatu, the vampire who brought death, and the woman whose light ended his night. But no one ever saw his kind again. And so, the shadows faded, and light returned. This was the story of Nosferatu, a tale of darkness and love, fear and courage, and the quiet strength of one heart. You can now rest, knowing the night has passed and the sun has risen. Breathe deeply, slowly, and let your body relax. You are safe, you are warm, and you are loved. Good night, and sweet dreams.